Iraq from the list of states supporting terrorism, so that military and other aid could flow to the murderous tyrant, aid that continued until he committed the first crime that mattered, disobeying, or possibly misunderstanding, U.S. orders in August 1990. The facts are hardly obscure, but fall under the general tacit agreement that it wouldn't do to mention that particular fact, in Orwell's phrase. Exceptionalism. Huntington's observation generalizes broadly, but is only part of the story. It is necessary to create misimpressions not only about the current great Satans, but also about one's own unique nobility. In particular, aggression and terror must be portrayed as self-defense, and dedication to inspiring visions. Japanese Emperor Hirohito was merely repeating a broken record when he said in his surrender speech of August 1945, "We declared war on America and Britain out of our sincere desire to ensure Japan's self-preservation and the stabilization of East Asia, it being far from our thought either to infringe upon the sovereignty of other nations or to embark upon territorial aggrandizement." There is little reason to doubt the emperor's sincerity. Still more uplifting rhetoric accompanied the Japanese invasions of Manchuria and northern China, even in internal state records. The history of international crimes overflows with similar sentiments. Writing in 1935, with the dark clouds of Nazism settling, Martin Heidegger declared that Germany must now forestall the peril of world darkening outside the borders of Germany, which was defending the supreme possibility of human being, as fashioned by the Greeks, from the active onslaught that destroys all rank and every world-creating impulse of the spirit. With its new spiritual energies revived under Nazi rule, Germany was at last able to take on its historic mission of saving the world from annihilation at the hands of the indifferent mass elsewhere, primarily in the United States and Russia. Even individuals of the highest intelligence and moral integrity succumb to the pathology. At the peak of Britain's crimes in India and China, of which he had an intimate knowledge, John Stuart Mill wrote his classic essay on humanitarian intervention, in which he urged Britain to undertake the enterprise vigorously, specifically to conquer even more of India, thus gaining greater control over the opium production that was needed to force open Chinese markets and pay the costs of empire. Britain should pursue this course, he argued, even though it would be held up to obloquy by backward Europeans, unable to comprehend that England was a novelty in the world, an angelic nation that acted only in the service of others, desired no benefit to itself, and was blameless and laudable in everything it did. England, Mill explained, selflessly bore the costs of bringing peace and justice to the world, while the fruits it shares in fraternal equality with the whole human race, including the barbarians it conquered and destroyed for their own benefit. There is no need to tarry on France's civilizing mission and its many counterparts. The famed American exceptionalism merits some skepticism. The image of righteous exceptionalism appears to be close to universal. Also close to universal is the responsibility of the educated classes to endorse with due solemnity the sincerity of the high-minded principles proclaimed by leaders, on the basis of no evidence, apart from their declarations, though it is often conceded that their actions systematically refute their noble visions. We then face a puzzling paradox, which is miraculously resolved in the United States by proclaiming a sudden change of course, an event that takes place every few years, effacing inappropriate history as we march on to a glorious future. One of its constant themes is the dedication to bring justice and freedom to a suffering world, recently resurrected as the driving passion for democracy promotion. There are always recalcitrants who raise questions about official pronouncements. Some even go as far as Adam Smith, who had little use for England's posture of noble intent. Smith held that the principal architects of global policy, our merchants and manufacturers, have sought to ensure that their own interests have been most peculiarly attended to, however grievous the impact on others, particularly the victims of their savage injustice in India and elsewhere, but even the domestic population. Smith therefore falls into the category of conspiracy theorists, people who attend to the historical and documentary record, and to domestic structures of power, and the interests served by state planners. They do not reflexively admire professions of benign intent, such as the dedication to promote democracy, justice, and freedom. Their pernicious influence must be stemmed, in more violent states by force, in more free societies by other means.